It's the Jay and Thomas Podcast, an hour of commentary on today's top stories, current events, or just life in general. And here are your hosts, Jay and Thomas Darden.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Jay and Thomas Podcast. Hope you're all doing well out there. This is episode 12, TBD, as normal. We're going to start us off how we normally do and ask the man of the hour how he's doing. So, hey Thomas, how are you?
I'm doing exceptional. Been a long day. Went into the big city today where the international airport is, and there's 4,000 people in a 4 square mile area. 4 million people in a 4 square mile area.
I was going to say,
so it's a little,
that's not a very big city.
Yeah. It's like 4 million people in a 4 square mile area. It's pretty crazy.
Well, that's, I would say that's packed nicely, but places like New York, Beijing, Hong Kong, stuff like that, where they're just in skyscrapers, millions upon millions of people in a very small area.
Yeah.
So that's
there's lines on the road, but nobody pays any attention to them. They just kind of a suggestion of which direction to travel, and everybody just kind of goes that way. And it's like,
well, that makes sense.
Luckily, we were being driven, so it was okay.
Well,
so
and
that was a plus.
Well, I was going to say it would be probably pretty hard pressed for you or Pat or whomever is not or is a part of your group is going to be driving anywhere in the big city, that is, because
if I knew where I was going, I'd probably be okay. But when you don't know where you're going, it's like, hey Mo,
you be careful, because especially like on those scooters or something like that, you'd just be a little sardine packed in there.
And I saw probably that we were there for probably 3 hours,
right?
And I probably saw a half a dozen electrics running around. Yeah, electric scooters. So I guess they're bobbing in and out of traffic and stuff. These guys and girls are really crazy because they're splitting traffic.
Right.
Whenever they get a chance, they're splitting traffic, and I'm like, man, that's dangerous. But everybody's living on the edge, and you don't see too many accidents. So
well,
God bless them.
There was somebody on a motorcycle yesterday who did the same thing. They were weaving up through the cars, and it wasn't what you would kind of expect, at least from my perspective. I normally expect like the young guy on the crotch rocket, like ready to go, and they're just, bobbing and weaving through everybody. Like, no, this was an older dude on his, Harley or Harley wannabe, and he was just, he was king of the road, man, like just weaving in between all of the cars, just going straight up the middle, and people were just getting out of his way because they don't want to have to pay insurance and pick up the pieces of that guy when he's acting a fool. So, that is what it is. But yeah, so that was pretty crazy. Hopefully everybody liked the last episode where we had some kind of interesting facts about fire hoses and school shootings and fear and all that. So thanks everybody for being back with us. 14 subscribers. Much love. Thank you all out there for putting up with us.
Thank you.
That's very excellent. Yeah.
We're in double digits.
I know, right? Tickle the like button, smash the subscribe, etc., etc. We'll appease the YouTube gods now. And whatnot. So excellent stuff there. Today, you had one that threw me for a loop, and I'm kind of excited to hear some feedback on it. The second suggestion you had was no question I would hear this or that you would want to discuss this, but the first one, that one got me. So why don't you take us through whatever information that you have about fire and black ants, and of course I'll put up screenshots of these things in post where I'm assuming you're talking about the insect, but I have no honest idea. So take it away.
Okay. I was on a news feed the other day, and this came across the news feed, and pardon me for good, I'm going to have to read this. If you collect 100 black ants and 100 fire ants and put them in a jar and set the jar down, nothing will happen. They just go on about their whatever they do.
Right.
But if you take the jar and shake it violently and leave it on the table, the ants will start to kill each other. Red believes that black is the enemy, while black believes that red is the enemy, when the real enemy is the person that shook the jar.
I thought for a second you were going to say the real enemy was the jar itself.
No, it's the person who shook the jar.
Okay.
And the same is true in society. Okay. Men versus women, black versus white, faith versus science, young versus old, etc. So before we fight each other, we must ask ourselves, who shook the jar?
Wow. That was
You like that?
in no way what I expected.
What you expected. That's right. That's right.
You got me there.
I got you that time, didn't I?
That was pretty good.
And see, I was going to follow it up with, who's shaking your jar?
You know about me specifically?
No, I'm just saying that to the general, to those 14 subscribers. Who's shaking your jar?
Yes, everyone out there, who is shaking your jars? Let us know down below.
So, yeah. Leave a comment for who's shaking you around in the jars.
Who's shaking your jar? And pitting you against someone else, or pitting you against another race or another society or another gender. Who's doing that? Who's doing that?
That's pretty interesting. I enjoyed that very much. So thank you. If I myself am one of those subscribers, so I'll have to leave a comment down. and Lee, I'm gonna put Thomas is shaking my jar because that was wild. You know, that was pretty good. That is very interesting. However, of course,
I thought it was,
to a degree. Are we ants? I know in this analogy or this metaphor, that's the point, is the, societal things, what do you call it, animosities, etc. Who's causing the animosity, really? Because there was a point in time when, and it wasn't too long, it wasn't very long ago. Listen to Bo Burnham's The Internet, and you will hear kind of my spiel about, or what I'm going to talk about, kind of where that comes from. Because forever, man has been pitted against man all the time. That's just kind of how it is, right? It's going to be whether or not it be over power, whether it be over, men and women, whether it be race, whether it be money, food, land, whatever it is, right?
Right.
As I forgot where it came from, but it's, there's a hole in humans' hearts, right? That's why we're never satiated. We're never satisfied. So to that end, what I would say, or who is shaking my jar, not you, hilariously enough, but it's myself, right? And the reason is this. The shaking of the jar is going to happen all the time, regardless. No matter who it is, it doesn't matter. What does matter, whether or not you kill the other ant, right? Because if I was the black ant and I'm fighting the fire ant, it's like, well, that's a choice. Whether or not it's a choice that's made for me based on circumstances. Now, of course, by that I mean if it's a life or death situation. But there are so many times, like we kind of harked on yesterday, I got to figure out how to put different videos or spots in here, because I can be like, watch this, and then it'll go bling, and it'll pop up on the screen and stuff. In our last episode, we talked about fear driving us. Well, it's kind of the same deal in terms of those circumstances. Is it life or death, or are we told it is because someone, air quotes, shook the jar, right? Like that's the trigger, as it were, put up the the trigger warning as we need nowadays, which is kind of humorous, because that would be kind of like someone telling the ants, it's like, brace yourselves, and then and it starts going. But I honestly think that's an important question. Who is shaking your jar? And like, I love that. That's wonderful. But the biggest thing that we have to look at in that instance is how do we react to the jar being shaken or being shook? Because, like we've spoken about before, it's how you react to things, right? The jar is going to be shaken by life in general. Like, whatever cosmic being you may or may not believe in, or war karma, or whatever it is. I mean, the jar is going to be shook just because you're in it, and so we're in life, right? And so it's going to be you're going to be messed with all the time,
right? Right.
No matter what. Now, is it an external stimuli that somebody's doing to you on purpose? Well, then of course, that's a tough one, but it's still on you, the person, or the ant in this case, the ant people, to respond a certain way, because you could almost kind of get to where it's like a classist sort of thing, right? Because I'll see if I can find this GIF. It's incredible. It's somebody who, it's three people, and one guy is dressed up like the Monopoly guy. One guy is kind of like dressed in a polo shirt or a sweater or something like that. And then there's one guy who just looks a little bit homely. Well, the Monopoly guy, they have stacks of Oreos in front of them, right? The Monopoly guy's got a full row. The air quotes, what is representing the middle class, has like 2 or 3 or something like that. And of course, the homely guy has 1. And of course, it's showing you poor, middle class, and rich. And the rich guy distracts the middle class guy, takes one of his Oreos, puts it up on his stack, and then the middle class guy looks back and is like, what just happened? And then the rich guy says, that poor person over there took your shit. So it's a lot of people are shaking your jars, man, and it's kind of wild. I'm hearing more and more us millennials talking about eating the rich, and politicians are corrupt, and just like we're just screwed in general. So I don't know.
Basically, yeah.
I mean,
I thought it was interesting on the news feed today down here. The mayor of the little town that we live in, it's got about 40,000 people in Plias, said that, I don't know, 4 or 5 people had died from the COVID variant, whatever it is.
Right. The Delta variant, or is it a different one?
Yeah. I guess the Delta variant. And they, I'm looking at my notes. Yeah, the Delta variant of the COVID. And so she's considering lockdowns again.
Oh, wow.
And
okay.
I was like, you got to be kidding, man. But then also, the next paragraph, it said that they were going to start requiring you to have a vaccination card whenever you were out in public, like at the grocery store, the mall, or if you're in a bus terminal or public buildings like the ministry or courthouse or place. You got to have a vaccination card to get in there, or they're going to fine you or arrest you if you don't have one. And I thought, where do I, where do you sign up? I mean, if they start monitoring that when you go to the store, if they start monitoring that at the mall,
right,
it's going to be an issue, because they already take your temperature and spray your hand.
Really?
Who knows what? Oh, yeah. Yeah, you go in and you hold your hand up and they take the temperature on the back of your hand, which is a joke. And then the guy sprays something in your hand and there you are. They do that every entrance and exit has one of those people. The entrances all do by the exits. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well,
before you go into the building, and you have a mask on too, because I walked up there one day and I forgot and left the mask in the scooter or whatever. And he's like, no, come in here, big boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go get your face diaper and put it on, because everybody down here is masked up, buddy. Even walking on the beach, they're masked up. And I'm like, Jesus, Okay, go ahead.
Well, I mean,
That's it.
It is what it is, and and
Hey, and
hilariously,
when you're in Rome, you do as the Romans do. The minute I get off a bus, I take it off,
I
and
was
I'll
gonna.
put it back on till I get to the door of the mall, and then put it back on to be able to get in the mall or grocery
Well,
store or whatever.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
when you said do as the Romans do, I was gonna say, do you mean invade other lands and fuck little boys? But I don't know. So got to watch out there.
Right.
But
So we don't know who's going to shake the jar here, and have everybody all jacked up again. So
well, and
we'll see.
we talked last time about fear and people having control through fear, because it's one of the best things to do to control someone, right? Is to give them a set of circumstances or give them a give them a situation, a possibility, and they're gonna lose their minds, like they're just gonna go ballistic. And it's nowadays, like I was mentioning a little bit earlier with Bo Burnham's The Internet, that's one of the reasons I did mention that, is because the spread of information happens globally and instantly all the time. Just
Right.
bang, 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 bang,
Right.
bang. I mean,
got you.
you can literally learn or possibly mislearn, depending on your sources, anything and everything all the time. Right? So
Right.
if they want to control you through information, awesome. Because look at, in terms of the scares that we've had, you said each one gets different. Well, yeah, but also technology gets different. Information ability spread gets different. Everything
right.
always grows on itself, right? And so eventually, one news feed, and everyone has bought a mountain of toilet paper after like 2 news articles, and then people are like, COVID doesn't make you crap yourself to death like dysentery. Why are you all buying all this toilet paper? But
was that the stupidest stuff?
well, and it's a scenario that I was like, oh, damn.
I used to go in Walmart and put a bunch in my basket and then go hide it around the store.
You are fake news.
That's why I'm down here. They're not going to catch me.
Oh my God. Yeah. Like the Walmart helicopters come in like, oh, we got him. We're going to surround him, Holy smokes, man.
Yeah, they drop off about 4 people with orange vests.
Yeah,
and,
exactly,
Exactly,
man. Yeah. Oh my goodness gracious. Yeah, that's what's coming, man. That sounds like a bad acid trip right there.
Where's
That's
your
fantastic.
IPC code, dude?
Yeah,
It's on my forehead. Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, yeah. So something that is kind of interesting that you mentioned there about checking ID cards and stuff. I don't have mine with me, but I have a card, right, that has vaccination information on it, whatnot. It says like shot 1, shot 2, what kind is it, how deep did they go rectally, etc. And
you need to send me that copy of that card.
yeah. People, people be out there, like trying to, make one yourself and stuff.
Yeah. That's right.
And it's kind of wild. Somebody, bless their heart, somebody said, I'm going to get mine laminated. And I said, okay, well, what if they have you take a booster in 6 months? Because you're supposed to hang on to the card, right? Like, that's what they tell you to do. Hang on to this because it is your golden ticket,
Yeah, right.
And
exactly.
I don't understand everybody all the time. And this was definitely a scenario that, as Uncle Bob would say, they're walking among us.
Yes.
Because now, of course, they said, well, I'll just cut the lamination off or whatever. It's like, we'll just have you sit
it's
and sign
interesting that you said that because when we went to the registry today to get the cedulas,
Mm-hmm.
there was a guy standing right outside the door. Now
Yeah.
they're like a driver's license. They're the hard plastic, and the new ones that they have a chip in them.
Right.
So, but this guy was out there selling the plastic sleeves that you could slide it in
Oh,
to
okay.
protect it. Yeah, it was just like it was because he's standing out there with a handful of them.
Right.
And I looked at it and I thought, what's it? And then we got to talking to two of the other people that were with me, and he's selling the protective slide there that you can stick it in and then put it in your wallet, your purse, or whatever. I thought, these people they're creative down here, man. They're creative. Yeah, they get it going on. So,
well, speaking of vaccines, the next thing you wanted to talk about, that's called a segue, a bad one, but it is, was vaccinations about going back to school. Since we're on the vaccine train, YouTube overlords, please don't hurt us.
Yeah.
Please. I was gonna say, don't arigato, Mr. Roboto.
There you go.
I got to figure that one out. I have a few voices on here, but I definitely need to put in a sample of "Come on, man" or "Wrong."
Yeah.
Or I love the billions and billions and billions.
Yeah.
Lost my mind with that shit.
Have you ever watched that show? Have you ever watched that show called Billions?
No.
Yeah, it's about Wall Street traders.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting to see the shenanigans that those guys get into with the millions of dollars and stuff, and what they're buying and selling, and they don't explain a lot to you, but short sale and all kind of stuff. And I was like, man, it makes you want to go out and invest in something.
You need to go and watch The Wolf of Wall Street. That's right up our alley there. So
there you go.
That's a good 3-hour investment of time about drugs and stocks. So when you talk about vaccinations, about going back to school.
Wake up, moms and dads. Wake up. Gotta be woke. Okay, go ahead.
All right. No, I mean,
Scott, wait, let me segue into that, as you say. The schools in your county start August the 3rd.
Right. Yeah. Because I have some friends who are teachers, and they're happy to be back in the school, and they'll get vaccinations and blah, blah, blah. Man, they're ready to go.
Okay. School age vaccines that, there was always a round of vaccinations before the kids would go to school.
Yeah.
Now be it preschool or kindergarten, I didn't know exactly how they work. The immunization shots for children to attend school. Okay. DTP is diphtheria, tetanus, and the P is
polio.
Pertussis.
What?
No, it's not. It's pertussis. It's PERTUSSIS. Then you have polio, measles. Okay.
Yeah, measles, mumps, chickenpox. You got all that stuff.
Rubella, and chickenpox.
Right.
The government's going to try to add COVID to this list. You watch and see. I'm just. You heard it here first.
You heard it here, folks. Everyone.
That's right.
Everybody watch out for your children. They're coming.
Don't add that into the list and cover it up somehow, adding it to the list of shots that are, preschool shots, or maybe pre-high school shots or pre-middle school shots, however they lined it up. I know they don't do it like they used to with elementary, junior high, and high school. They do the middle school and all that. But
I know they did middle school, because I'll never forget going into the health clinic and they'd be like, "Sir, you're not caught up on your vaccines," and mom's over there like, "Okay," and I'm like, "Mom, why are you doing this?" And they go, "All right, here's number 1. Okay, here's number 2. Okay, here's number 3." And I'm just like,
Can you change arms, please?
Yeah. It's like, can you come over here? Because this arm's about to fall off, It was.
Can you stick something in my butt? I mean, come on, man. Come on, man.
Don't teach us a good time. All right, Chip. So, well, here's the deal. They're giving kids vaccines, right? And so why polio vaccine, mumps, measles, tetanus, blah, blah, blah. Why does the COVID one matter? Like versus those other ones. You know what I mean?
They're talking about going door to door with reliable people to check and see if you've been vaccinated, man. And I was talking to somebody about this the other day, and I was talking about the podcast, and I said, right then when they say they're going to go door to door and talk about vaccines would be the time that you put Clint Eastwood in there going,
what the hell is this? Get off my lawn.
Going door to door and going to see if you're vaccinated or not.
Well, I mean, that's it.
I'll wait till my buddy that lives down here that got vaccinated.
Right.
And when he comes back from the States, he's visiting for 10 days in the United States. I don't know why, but when he comes back, I'll snooker his card and say, give me that thing, man.
Well, does the vaccine, does it matter where or when you got it? Does that make sense? Like, let's say
I don't know. This is just something new that came out this afternoon,
okay.
and the mayor's trying to push it. I'm sure with the people that are here, it would probably be free,
right?
And it would be very available.
You know what it was in here?
That.
Well, you know what it was up here? It was free and very available. Like, it was honestly the most efficient, or one of the most efficient things I've ever been a part of. It was insane. How, like, just bang, bang, bang.
Right.
And I mean,
right.
and it was like, do it to it. Now, I will suggest to you, I will send you the link. I will try to remember to put the link in the description of this video. I believe it's Lex Friedman and Eric Weinstein, or Brett Weinstein, one of the two. I'm sorry. It's Weinstein, and they're not Weinsteins. There is a very big distinction. But this guy is a PhD, and he was right about the pandemic over and over and over. I think his podcast is called the Dark Horse Podcast. This guy is, Uncle Bob level of smart, Menza level stuff. And he was talking about one of the things that is that YouTube is doing, because they were nixing videos about versitomycin or something like that, which is like an antiviral, anti-something. And so they were nixing that. Well, he was talking about one of the things that isn't good is saying, okay, we're going to give companies free range to have absolutely no repercussions if your vaccine is bad. And then the people who will benefit the most from this are people who don't get vaccinated, because they will have no long-term effects because they'll get herd immunity from everybody else. And I was like, of course, the head explosion, because it's incredible. And to me, I'm like, I'm going to have to cut this in. To me, I'm thinking, I'm the guy from, do you remember the show Quantum Leap?
Yes.
Okay. So when
I didn't watch it, but
right. But you know of it, right? A guy, hops around through people. There's the perfect, cut in for this, where a guy, like the guy who hops into different people's bodies, he looks around and he's like, am I retarded? And the door closes, right? And of course, he's a guy with Down syndrome. But the point of this is that, am I the dumb one in this situation? Because I went out, got the vaccines, tried to, air quotes, do what's right. And in all honesty, I don't know. And we just won't know, right? I mean, you're just not going to know. Now, am I the dumb one? All the time. I mean, even in these conversations. But still, the point being is, they run kids through the gamut, or the gauntlet of vaccines. And hey, there's a lot more kids around, right, than there were when all these other things were running rampant. So I don't want to say, why does it matter? Because, of course, children are our future. But it's like, I mean, they don't know what the long-term side effects are. So it's like, well, we're not going to let your kid come to school if they're not vaccinated. Kids don't get vaccinated. Don't ever go to school. Don't ever go to work. Never go into anywhere.
Stay in mom and dad's basement and eat Hot Pockets the rest of your life. There you go.
That's it, man.
But it looks like the Delta variant.
As you can see, the cheese balls up in the studio.
I see that thing back there. The cheese, was that full at one point? Cheesy?
Until I ate them with these. You see the little deal.
Yeah, you might catch a fly like Mr. Miyagi or something.
What's off? Too much advantage. Yo, dojo.
That's right.
But with the Delta variant, right? Yeah, like they're coming up with new kind of things all the time.
The thing is, the death rate's like 0.08. So they were talking this day. It's like 4 people in every 1,000 might die from this. From what they're tracking right now. So why are you going nuts? I mean, really? Get off this stuff and let it go and move on, man. I mean, they're trying to keep control. And how about them Democrats in Texas that jumped on that airplane?
I didn't see that. Like I saw something of, hey, some Democrats got on a plane because they're trying to stop something or
50 something Democrats got on 2 planes, and the goofy ass selfies they're taking they ought to be ashamed of themselves. They should have never left their home. But they got on a plane and flew to Washington, D.C. to beg Slow Joe to try to help them ward off the voter
suppression bill. Yeah.
Yeah, that they call the voter suppression bill, if that's what you want to say. But it's all a freaking lie. It is. But in the Constitution, they can be arrested. When they step back in the state of Texas, they can be arrested. What my question is they said, we're going to arrest them and take them to the Capitol and make them go to work. Well, is that like picking up trash on the side of the highway arrested? Do you have an arrest record now? Can you serve if you have an arrest record? Are you just, bullshitting us that you're going to really arrest them and put handcuffs on them? There's like 51 of them or 52, something like that.
Well, don't tease them with a good time. Damn.
Well, I mean, is it a felony? Is it a misdemeanor? I mean, there's a whole lot of questions that nobody's answering, but you have simply avoided your elected duties.
I got you. Well, I mean, maybe that's something that could get litigation against them. I don't know.
Leaving in the middle of a session. Oh, if I lived in Texas, I would be out of my mind.
But you don't. You live in Ecuador, bruh.
I know. So now I got to get out of my mind if the mayor of my little town decides that we all have to be vaccinated. That's going to be a monkey in a football. Yeah.
Okie dokie, man.
I was trying to.
The monkey in the football.
Yeah. Trying to keep it clean, bro.
Aren't we all, my friend? Bag it up, boys.
Yeah.
So, with that is pretty wild. And speaking of that sort of thing, I want to end on the having a certain attitude versus not. So the next thing I kind of want to talk about, which I'll put up an infographic of this when we get there here in just a second, is, of course, you're talking about people having a lot of information, right? Or people, and this is other entities having more information about you, right? Where are you vaccinated? Right. Have you done X, Y, and Z? You just went through a process where, they asked you every question under the sun, right? Well, right. Riddle me this, Batman. Why do people give away their life story as simply as when they drive around? We've had conversations about this before.
Because they're ignorant.
Because they're ignorant.
They're ignorant. Okay. They're ignorant. Yeah. They're ignorant to the fact that everybody's watching them. People just go along with everything is everything. Life's good. They got their head in the sand. As long as it doesn't upset their particular apple cart.
Right.
They're not. They don't care. They don't care. They might say they care if the house burns down next to them, but as long as it didn't damage their house, and that's a little extreme. But they don't care what goes on other places, and they say they do, but they've literally they're going to work, they're coming home, they're taking a little Joey bag of donuts or whatever down to soccer practice, or they're taking Susie Q to the karate lessons and all that kind of stuff, and they come back home and the kids get on the video games or whatever, and they don't sit at the table most likely as a family unit and eat dinner, and they're eating dinner in front of the TV or whatever. They go to bed, they get up and do it again the next day.
Awesome. Nothing that you've said has sounded bad. Yes, this is fantastic.
No, I'm not saying it's not bad at all. It's not bad at all. But when you ride around in your minivan with a magnetic soccer ball on the back of it, and you've got a baby on board sticker in the window, okay. So run off that list that you showed me, because I love that, man. I'm gonna
put it up here real quick, and I'm gonna run through the entire back of the car really fast. So, Dad, you can't see this at the moment, but I've got that photo that I sent you.
That's fine.
And I'm gonna run through it really quick. So let me introduce you to our children, and because they're involved in extracurriculars, we'll be gone most evenings and or weekends for practice games. And of course, it's Billy with a baseball, and it's Olivia there as a ballerina dancing around. That's not very progressive. We should have Olivia as the baseball and Billy as the ballerina. This is 2021.
Yeah, what's
okay,
wrong with that? Yeah,
right?
That's right.
Oh,
get your stuff straight. Yeah.
Right. So then we have this little person on a motocross motorcycle. And it says, we like expensive toys that you can probably find in our garage. And then there's the dog, this adorable little French bulldog. We have a small breed dog that answers to the name Max. Oh, I love that one very much. And then we have, hey, this is where we live and or work. And of course, it's got like Shady Pines resident and it's parking, blah, blah, blah. Then you have something that says Richland High School honor roll student. That kind of harkens back to that whole thing of the kidnapper knows where to go, you know? This is where our children attend school. Then my name, Washington. This is like a bumper sticker or potentially a license plate that is monogrammed, right? So my personalized plate is easier to recall. Should I unintentionally offend someone or or if someone wants to keep track of my vehicle? They can keep track of things. So, oil field spouse, whatever the heck that means. My spouse is away for extended periods of time. That was very abstract, but I understand. So, this one is hunting. It's got a pair of antlers on there, right? We like outdoor sports and may have expensive equipment at home or possibly in our car. We'll be gone on most weekends during peak seasons, leaving our house unattended. Okay, it requires a little bit of research, but you can figure out very quickly when most folks are going to be gone based on peak seasons of certain activities. We'll have our hands full and be distracted when we get to where we're going, making us an easy target. That's the final thing, and it's the baby on board. So it's something that boggles my mind. Even the ones that I think are cute or clever or something like that, like the dog, or one of the ones I really enjoy is it's like the T-Rex eating the family, or it's the Star Wars, like it's the TIE fighter, the big spaceship, shooting all the family members and stuff, or and whatnot. But still, you're giving people information, and they're already taking it from you all the time. Who's they or them? Everyone.
Everyone.
All the time.
Everyone. Now, everyone.
It's absolutely insane. Because people want that information. Why? Because I will say, or I would posit control over you, or to get you to buy something. The margins for ads right now, in terms of what they're looking to do, the small percentage of it, but that will actually get you to do something, is incredible. So, like, when you go to websites and they give you cookies, that's them keeping hold of your information, right? That's them tracking your clicks and your likes and all that stuff. and all the social media things that are happening, they're selling that information to somebody. And so also we have people who drive around, or people who are like, oh, I just got married. And then they put a picture of their gigantic ring on the camera. And it's like, okay, you don't have to rub it in, but I will be stealing that from you eventually. So
Right.
it's stuff that's just, insane. Or, people will post
and
up.
They've been doing it for years.
Oh,
too.
years.
They've been doing this for years.
Years
and
years.
It's escalated now. It's escalated with people have finally gotten into hey, we can get into the sticker business, or we can get into the magnetic football business, or we can get into the this or that business.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and
it's gone on for years.
Well,
man.
you can sell everything nowadays.
You have any stickers on your car?
The only one that I haven't taken off, which is it says CarMax. There's nothing else on there. But see, my car looks like a police cruiser that's undercover, so I don't show off
Nobody's
or
gonna
do
mess
anything.
with your
Right.
car, right. Yeah.
Right.
There you go. My SUV that I had when I lived there just had an NRA sticker in the back, so they knew that I was cock locked and ready to rock. So, and I didn't leave it in the car.
I was going to say,
yeah. So you wouldn't find anything if you got in the car, because I traveled very, very light. And on my pickup truck, the only sticker I had was "We the People" Hosters. So,
nice.
Yeah, come get some. Yeah, come get some.
Well,
yeah,
it's a scenario that you still gave them information. At that point,
absolutely.
Like at that point, they know, oh, okay, this dude's going to be armed, so we got to either be armed to the same degree or get you while you're not looking. Right. So all that information that we give out is insane.
And I watched a guy the other day that was putting gas in his car, and a van pulled up, and 3 guys jumped out. I guess they were going to strong arm him or whatever. And he just pulled the nozzle out and started squirting them with gasoline. It was the coolest thing, man. It was the coolest thing. And I thought, man, if the dude just had a way to light him up, it would have been explosive time on everybody's part.
Yeah,
but been great.
But then the dude would have been caught on fire, because that stuff doesn't just go out and then just sits there. Like, he could have made the whole freaking thing explode.
He could have shut the nozzle off and then lit them on fire. But they all jumped back in the van stinking and drove off. It's pretty cool.
Well,
I thought, well, that's pretty quick thinking. Pretty quick.
It
thinking
is,
for him.
right? I mean, one of the the things I should cut in Batman Begins, where Liam Neeson says,
Anger does not change the fact that your father failed to act.
The man had a gun.
Would that stop you?
I've had training.
The training is nothing. The will is everything. The will to act.
it has nothing to do with the amount of training you had or the or anything like that. What will make you survive in situations is the will to act. That's all it's going to be, right? Because no matter if you're super prepared or not or whatever, it's going to take will. Like, you have to beat the fight or flight scenario, like the mechanisms in your mind that are based off of our amygdala or whatever, that'll say, hey, you got to do something right now, man, or you got to run. So luckily that dude won, because we know every day many people don't. And it's kind of crappy, right? Because they don't have the will to act, or they're taken by surprise, or it could be something very arbitrary. It's a wild world out there for sure, you know?
Yes, it is.
It is. So let us know down below in the comments. Are you taking the stickers off of your car right now? Because that's some silliness and nobody cares how many family members you have. Like, take the stickers off your car, people. Like, quit giving people your information.
It's and that's what they're doing.
And that's not to badmouth people or anything like that, but it's dangerous. And it's unnerving, the fact that what people can extrapolate from the choices that you make. It's insane. Jared Lanier, it will be somebody that the excellent folks out there should try to look up a little bit, because he's one of the guys who helped with the algorithms that we hear all the time, right? We hear about algorithms for this, algorithms for that, the YouTube overlord algorithm, all sorts of things. And he was telling a story in one of his talks, and it was something that Vsauce has a great thing about this as well. What information it pulls based off of your ad likes or views and whatnot. And the two stories I'll share about this. One was from Jared Lanier. He talked about an algorithm that would let companies know when a woman was ovulating or on her time of the month or whatever, the part before that. And it was like, holy crap, because you know what happens? A lot of the times during that time, people can be irrational or they can be rational, whatever you want to say. But it is a scenario where, just like the gambler who has an impulse, okay, I'm not liking something that has to happen all the time to, periods, etc., versus this, but the mental part of it, a lot of it is interconnected, right? Where impulse things happen. They can say, oh, well, this is happening based on these decisions you make. So people who are, they'll have ads and stuff based on certain times or behaviors. And it's very small margins, like I mentioned earlier, where they'll let the gambler know, hey, there's a free one-night stay with if you buy 2 nights or whatever at Vegas, right? They will hit that person when they are the most vulnerable, right? So in this case, same thing. There was, and I'll explain the Vsauce example real quick, where
a few years ago in Minneapolis, an angry dad stormed into the retail store Target. His daughter, a high schooler, had been receiving coupons in the mail from the store for things like cribs and diapers. Was Target encouraging his daughter, a minor, to go out and get pregnant? Well, the store apologized, but a few days later they heard back from the father. He told them, a few things have been going on in my household I was unaware of. My daughter is due in August.
The host was like, yeah, this person had Google searches based on what creams are bad for them, what should they not eat, and very, very specific things. And I think it was Target. They don't say who it was, but it was a big company began to send this person ads about baby stuff. And the dad of this girl went ballistic, right? And he says, he calls the company up and yada, yada. And they're like, oh, we're so sorry. We won't have that happen again. Well, like 2 weeks later or a month later, the guy calls the company back and says, I'm sorry, my daughter's pregnant. And we didn't know. And it was just like, they can just gain so much from your information. It is incredible. And they're going to cater things to you. So if you're buying this, looking at this all the time, they know exactly how to get you. It's absolute insanity.
You're right. You're exactly right. I'm a poor example because I don't buy anything online because you can't get anything online here. Thank you very much.
Except for the stuff that you have delivered to my house that I'm going to deliver to you when I visit. Woo!
Yeah, and to that note, we went in to pay the phone bill the other day on our cell phones.
Oh, okay? Yeah, there you go.
It's Claro. It's CLARO is a company, and it's like a AT&T or whatever. They're not near that big, but anyway. So I take my phone in there because I'm trying to make a local call here from my Ecuadorian number to another Ecuadorian number, my buddy's house. And it pops up emergency calls only. Emergency calls only. It's been doing it for like 2 weeks. So we go in there with a translator, and we go in there and we say, hey, we have a package and the bill is paid up, and this is what it keeps. This is what it keeps saying on the screen.
Right.
And so the guy gets on his laptop and he looks it up and he goes, well, this phone's been stolen, or the phone is stolen. And it's like, dude, I've had that same phone. It's an LG. I've had that same phone for like 5 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he's like, but they don't recognize this model LG. And when you put the Claro chip in there to use the Claro phone system down here, they register it with the serial number on the telephone. Well, that LG model is not here yet.
Oh,
it's not
sure.
fancy. It's just a base phone. It's not fancy.
We know it ain't fancy.
Like I said, I've had it about 5 years, and it's like, it's not stolen. Well, they're not going to let you use it until you notify the people and pay tax on it. They said when you came into the airport, and I was like, hold up. I didn't know I needed to go, hey, I've got this phone here and I need to give you some money to have it in the country. I didn't know that. And the guy goes, well, you do now. And I'm like, well,
how do you say that in Spanish, you know?
Yeah. It's like, never mind. So I said, you know what? I don't need to make any local calls. I'm not going to, at this point, I'm not paying tax or a tariff on my phone that I brought into the country just to be able to make a local call to a guy that's 2 miles down the road. I'll send a carrier pigeon down there or something.
There it is.
That's, that was a crock. And it's like, you don't know. Well, I didn't know that I had to claim that as bringing it in and paying a tariff or a duty on it. I didn't know that. And the guy, well,
something that might be
they got you on.
Hey,
yeah,
right.
Got you now.
Something that might be interesting for you to do and that you might be able to sell, maybe, I don't know, is an expat's guide to Ecuador, right? Like, write down everything that's happening, because then you could give that information to folks and say, well, hello, do you want to come down here and live your best life? Let me help you out. And then it's like, oh, this dude knows what's up. And you're like, now pay me $49.99 in 5 easy installments,
Yeah. But wait, if you order now, we'll double your order and get one for your spouse or your significant other. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Buy now, 555-0199,
Yeah.
That's where
the phone number's down here, like 099-531468. And it's like, what?
We're terribly sorry for whomever just got called for that international number.
Yeah.
But whoever called them, you deserve the international bill, so get over it. So
that's right.
That stuff's wild.
867-5309. Jenny, call that number.
Damn you, Tommy Two Tones.
That's right.
But so, well, and that kind of leads into our last segment, which I saw this, and it was more comical than what I had actually wanted to talk about, because it came off of a silly kind of Reddit or Imgur style thing where it just shows you kind of funny photos and to get you through this depressing existence. And it made me chuckle a little bit, where it actually had a good message built in.
Depressing existence.
Yeah, exactly. And I loved it, because there are not many things that will turn this dude's ear in terms of let's be positive, if that makes sense.
Right.
So this talked about having a different attitude, which we've talked about this on the podcast very, lightly. We brush up against it all the time, right? And it's something that I thought was wonderful, because it says having a different attitude, we need to turn away from, I have to do this thing. I have to go to work, or I have to do this chore, or I have to do this, to I get to do stuff, right? So I get to go to work in an air-conditioned office, get paid this, get these benefits, blah, blah, blah. Or, like, I get to go to the store, not get hassled, not have to worry about this. I get to drive in this car that I have to pay for. But it's a scenario where that tiny little thing that you change from have to get to changes perspective, your perspective over time to one of suffering, to one of, how would you say it? Not benefiting from it, but one of, you could say, privilege, but it's something that we get to do so many things that so many before us didn't get to do, that it's incredible. I mean, it is actually amazing. There was a point in time where there wasn't a phone in everyone's hand, right? There wasn't a car in every driveway, or you could go down to the store and get some milk that's cold, right? People actually had to function in a very different way at one point in time. And I understand, we're first world individuals and we are very fortunate, but something that really got to me, and it really was a perspective changer, at least to me. Everybody might be miles ahead of me and say, well, yeah, duh. It's like, no, I get to do so many things. And instead of ever having to say, well, I have to do this, and then that have to brings with a shrug, like a shoulder slump and like a half-hearted reply or whatever. It's like, nah, man, come on, man. Like, you get to do so many cool things that those before you didn't, or even people around you right now might not get to do.
Right.
Certain people,
you're
right?
You're right.
Certain people in the pandemic didn't get to keep their jobs, didn't get to keep their lives, their livelihood, all these things. And I was like, man, that's a game changer right there, because we've just kind of tweaked the angle, right? That's all you're doing, just kind of realigning the angle. You're not going in a whole new direction. It's not just going 180, right? But you're like, let's just deviate just a smidge. And I think it would just make everybody a lot more appreciative, right? Because there are so many things in this world that people don't get to do.
A lot of people don't appreciate what they have. They really don't. Right. You're living in the greatest country in the world, and they just don't appreciate all the things that they get to do or are allowed to do in this country.
Sure. And
that's a good point.
Well, and I agree that this is one of the best countries ever that will ever be, just based on now, understand this. I know I'm a white male, yada, yada. We'll get past that. But there are people who aren't like me in this country who get the same opportunities to do whatever they want. Right. That they get to live the life that they want to live. Like, there are options for folks.
Right.
And that sort of thing is incredible. And it seems to me, at least from what I've seen, I don't represent everyone, obviously. Most certainly not. And much like we've talked about a little bit before, like millennials being privileged and all this stuff, or what do you call it? It's not privileged, entitled, excuse me. Where, we're pretty entitled, and so it's something where we can lessen the entitledness by being a little more appreciative. Now, to that end, that does not mean nothing can be changed and we can't better anything. That's not what we're saying. But if you come at it with a different attitude other than a fight, then you might yield better results.
Right. That makes sense. That makes sense.
I thought that was kind of interesting. That's my ending soapbox segment there that I just seem to be hopping on here in the past few episodes. Where
you be careful.
Right? Yeah, 100%. And we can just, I don't know. I think you'll find it's more beneficial if you do have that attitude of, I get to do something. Because yeah, we have to do a lot of things in life, but not everyone has the same opportunity. Somebody didn't even make it here, right? I mean, you're
you're
you
right.
know, like you're 1 in a billion, or however many freaking sperm cell it is. I'll have to cut in Look Who's Talking, where they're all, they're flying through the fallopian tubes or whatever, and all that, because we're all miracles, every single one of
Right.
us.
You're right.
You could have been a completely
You're
different
exactly
person. So
You're right. I'd do it the same all over again. No, I wouldn't. I'm just kidding.
yeah.
Maybe.
Exactly.
I don't know.
Well, to that, I know that's a fun act to follow. Is there anything else we need to talk about?
Well, I can't follow that with anything other than everybody ought to appreciate what they have,
And we're very fortunate, and I appreciate being able to talk to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So
That's right. You're the boss. That's why your name is first. So
yes, indeed. Indeed. So, well, if that's all we got, thank you everybody so much for watching the Jay and Thomas podcast. We most certainly appreciate everybody's views out there, and leave a like and a comment if you want to say something, or don't. You don't have to do anything you don't want to.
be sure and tell all your friends. So.
Yeah. Tell all your friends, especially when you're on a personal phone call with them. Hey, have you seen this podcast there? So
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And since we're talking about memes a little bit and whatnot and everything we see online, I'll end, at least for myself, saying what a famous frog once said: "It's Wednesday, my dudes."
That's it. See you next time.